Welcome to a special edition of the Red Sea Corridor. I am your digital anchor, bringing you AI empowered geopolitical analysis under the sole editorial direction of Sadeh Mekbib. Today, we are zooming out to map the most aggressive and disruptive force currently operating in the Horn of Africa, the United Arab Emirates. Behind the glittering infrastructure projects and diplomatic handshakes lies a ruthlessly pragmatic strategy. Abu Dhabi is weaponizing capital and cultivating non-state proxies to secure absolute dominance over the Red Sea chokepoints. But this pursuit of maritime hegemony is leaving a trail of state collapse in its wake. Today, we decode the Abu Dhabi playbook, the destruction of Sudan, Ethiopia's dangerous role as a logistical bridge, and the quiet escalating Cold War between the UAE and Saudi Arabia. To understand the UAE's endgame, we must understand its operational doctrine. Abu Dhabi views the Horn of Africa not as a collection of sovereign partners, but as a logistical matrix to be acquired. For the past decade, the UAE's strategy has centered on securing the maritime choke points of the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea. Initially, this was checkbook diplomacy, using sovereign wealth to fund massive urban redevelopment and lease ports. However, as regional volatility increased, Abu Dhabi evolved from a commercial investor into an aggressive military patron. When established governments resist Abu Dhabi's terms, the UAE readily pivots to funding malleable non-state actors. They seek out fragmented security environments where their capital can buy absolute loyalty. By backing breakaway regions and paramilitary forces, the UAE effectively weakens central governments. It is a strategy of deliberate disruption, ensuring no single state in the Horn becomes powerful enough to dictate its own terms. State fragility is actively weaponized to translate into strategic leverage for Abu Dhabi. We turn now to the most devastating consequence of this architecture: the active collapse of the Republic of Sudan. To understand the apocalyptic civil war tearing the country apart, we must stop viewing it simply as an internal power struggle. What is happening in Sudan is a proxy war, heavily subsidized and deliberately sustained by Gulf capital. At the center is the Rapid Support Forces led by Hemedti. The RSF has morphed from a localized militia into a transnational paramilitary syndicate, a transformation underwritten by Abu Dhabi. From the smuggling of Darfur's gold through Dubai's financial markets to the documented supply drops of advanced drones and munitions via covert logistical hubs, the UAE has provided the RSF with the oxygen required to wage a war of attrition against the Sudanese state. The strategic return: Abu Dhabi prefers fragmentation over sovereignty. A strong, centralized Sudanese state might demand terms on its coastline. A fragmented Sudan, controlled by warlords, allows the UAE to bypass the state and secure assets like the $6 billion Abu Amama port project. The humanitarian cost, millions displaced and widespread famine, is treated as collateral damage in the pursuit of Red Sea dominance. It is a laboratory for how capital can successfully dismantle a nation. Alarmingly, Ethiopia is increasingly becoming entangled in this proxy network. According to emerging intelligence, Abu Dhabi has leveraged its massive economic influence over Addis Ababa to secure a vital transit corridor for its regional ambitions. Reports indicate that Ethiopia has facilitated UAE logistical transfers through its territory and permitted RSF militants to operate near the border in the Benishangul Gumuz region. Why would Addis Ababa facilitate this? It is a calculated yet highly dangerous trade-off. in exchange for the UAE's continued multi-billion-dollar investments in Ethiopian infrastructure and diplomatic backing for Ethiopia's own Red Sea port ambitions, Addis Ababa appears to be tolerating Abu Dhabi's proxy operations on its soil. It is a transaction where immediate economic survival is being traded for long-term strategic compromise. This brings us to the most critical question. What is the danger of this UAE-Ethiopia alliance? The risks for Ethiopia are existential. By acting as a logistical bridge for the RSF, Ethiopia is transitioning from a sovereign stabilizing force into a proxy enabler. First, it risks drawing Ethiopian forces into a direct military confrontation. As the Sudanese armed forces strike convoys near the border, the localized fires of Sudan threaten to spill over and ignite a much wider multi-state war. Secondly, this alliance actively invites counter-proxy aggression from rival powers. By aligning so closely with the UAE's objectives, Ethiopia automatically antagonizes Egypt and Saudi Arabia, both of whom view the RSF as a profound threat to their own security and the stability of the Red Sea. We are already seeing the consequences of this as Cairo increases its military footprint in Somalia to squeeze Ethiopia from the south. Finally, there is a profound moral and diplomatic cost. The RSF has been implicated in systematic atrocities and ethnic cleansing in Darfur. By enabling their operations, even passively, Ethiopia damages its international legitimacy and risks severe diplomatic isolation and potential sanctions. When a nation allows a foreign power to utilize its territory to destroy a neighboring state, it surrenders its own strategic autonomy. The UAE's capital may build infrastructure today, but the proxy trap it has set threatens to burn down the entire regional architecture tomorrow. This expansion brings us to the final fault line: the quiet, escalating Cold War between the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Riyadh and Abu Dhabi are no longer moving in lockstep. They are locked in a zero-sum rivalry for the Red Sea. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 fundamentally requires absolute regional stability, but there is an even more immediate catalyst driving Riyadh's desperation: the escalating war involving Iran. As the broader regional conflict with Tehran and its proxy networks threatens to engulf the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is acutely aware of its extreme vulnerabilities. With Iran-aligned forces already demonstrating their capacity to completely choke off Red Sea shipping, Riyadh is desperate to secure its western flank. It simply cannot afford a fragmented, chaotic Horn of Africa sitting just across the water while it manages an explosive multi-front war in its own neighborhood. Riyadh desperately needs secure shipping lanes and strong, functioning states in the Horn to act as a security buffer. The UAE's preference for funding unpredictable paramilitary forces directly sabotages this survival strategy. We are watching a collision of grand strategies. Saudi Arabia is trying to stabilize the Red Sea out of sheer geopolitical necessity. The UAE is destabilizing the coastal peripheries to ensure it remains the gatekeeper of its chokepoints. For the Horn of Africa, this rivalry is a minefield. Accepting capital from one Gulf neighbor now risks severe retaliation from the other. The Horn has become the primary battlefield for the future of the Gulf. The line between foreign investment and foreign intervention in our region has officially vanished. Thank you for watching this special investigative report on the Red Sea corridor. Do you believe Ethiopia's economic reliance on the UAE is forcing it into a proxy role it cannot escape? Share your analysis in the comments below. This program features AI-assisted analysis under the sole editorial direction of Sadeh McBeeb. To stay ahead of the curve, make sure to subscribe. I am your digital anchor. Until next time, stay informed and stay strategic.